welcome to Cake Decorating TV. I'm Lynn Glacier and today we're out in the beautiful Bloomsbury Square in London on location at the world-renowned Le Cordon Bleu Cookery School. Now the reason we're here is because at the end of last year in 2017 they had the honour of creating the Queen and Prince Philip's 70th wedding anniversary cake. And wow, what a cake it was. We're going to go behind the scenes and talk to the two very talented chefs that headed this project. It was a replica of the Queen's original wedding cake from 1947. It was traditionally beautifully iced in royal icing, 9 foot high, 500 pounds in weight, and about a metre across at the bottom. Follow me and we're going to go and have a chat with the chefs. Let me introduce you to head patisserie chef Julie Walsh and patisserie chef Matthew Hodgett. Now, if you haven't already seen them on TV, in the newspapers and in magazines, they were the two incredibly talented chefs that were involved in making this beautiful cake. This is just the top tier, by the way. There were 4 tiers, weren't there?
There was a bit more to it.
Yeah. There was a bit more to it than this, another 3 tiers underneath. How did this come about? How did you get this project?
Well, I was approached by Oxford Film to do a replica of the Queen's wedding cake, and they'd looked at my profile and seen that I'd done some large build cakes before, and we certainly weren't scared of a challenge. And they said, is it possible? At that point, they were really just seeing what could and couldn't be done. They were very keen that they would take elements of the wedding and have some of them replicated in real life, but obviously there's a massive cost involved in making a replica of the wedding ring or of the dress. Yeah. So the cake was in the vying for a little while, and we had to put together some expenses, and eventually they said, okay, let's do it. At this point I was still under the misguided idea that we were going to be making it on a dummy cake.
Of course, yeah. Because
that's normal with a cake of this size. That's not really going to be for a real wedding. Is
and weight as well.
Make it on a dummy.
Yes, because the weight was a massive issue, wasn't it?
Yes. And then they said, no, actually we want to film the entire process from baking to decorating to standing.
So there was a lot of preparation, wasn't there, before you even started making the cake?
It was very much. Looking at the picture, we had nothing. We had nothing.
Just drawing, I suppose.
Yeah, we had nothing. Yeah. All of the original plans were lost in a factory fire, so there was very little.
That's why there's nothing out there.
There was no recipe. There was no real diagrams. We got lots of images. We had a lot of help researching from Oxford TV with the images, and we were able to blow them up and kind of work to scale, but we were saying, okay, well, let's assume that this chap is 6'1", and the cake is, the shoulder height comes to the second tier. Well, okay, let's get a 6'1" person. Let's measure how tall they are, and it was that simple to start off with.
Who did most of that?
I'm too short.
And Matthew's rubbish at maths. That's the other issue.
Because there is quite a lot of working out, isn't there, mathematically and drawings.
Yes. And he has many talents, but maths is not one of them.
So just talking about the sheer size of this cake, I don't think anyone realises how big it was. I'm just going to bring the tin over. But this doesn't actually do it justice, because this is just half of the cake, and then it was 3 deep. Then you've got the marzipan, the royal icing, the decorations. Yeah. It's
a monster.
It's a pure genius. With these made, especially.
They were.
They were, right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are the 2 middle tiers. So that's not even the biggest one.
Oh.
No. And as you can see, it's a half circle because you can't physically bake that diameter of cake and get it to cook properly without carbonising on the outside and burning.
Yes. Yeah.
So we went through a few teething problems of getting the right shape and the right diameter.
But even the mixing bowl.
The mixing bowl, we didn't have a mixing bowl that big.
No.
The actual physical quantity, I looked at it and I actually felt sick, because I was like, how on earth am I going to bake this lot? How are we going to mix it? How are we going to bake it?
How are you going to mix it? How do you mix that much batter?
Matthew is a bit of an expert on that. We nearly lost him in the bowl because
as you saw,
head and shoulders in.
So then we physically used our arms to mix it. That's the only way we could mix that whole mix together.
And how long did that take? of you just mixing and mixing and mixing?
I think each batch was probably about 45 minutes
Yeah.
to mix
No.
through.
It was quite a strenuous workout.
Yeah. The marzipan, it's quite tough, even if you've got a 3-tier cake, kneading all that marzipan and rolling it out.
I look at Matthew because
How on earth
'Cause I
did
did
you
do it.
need all that? Say for the how much marzipan for the bottom tier?
it was about 65 kilos for the bottom
Oh
tier.
my God.
Thereabouts, yeah.
So normally you'd be looking at perhaps 2.5 kilos for
Yeah.
a 3-tier cake. We were
So did the whole team, all of you, get involved in the kneading of it?
We were marzipan.
Just
There were
us.
4 of us, right, on the
Yeah.
day of the marzipaning, and we were all kneading blocks of 5 kilos, trying to soften it and make it more malleable. And then we used the sheeter to roll.
Yeah.
And then it was myself and
Hold
Matthew
it
with the
to
2
put it on.
massive rolling pins with about 40 kilos on it. And then the other 2 girls were trying to attach it to the side of the
In
cake.
sections.
Well, we managed to do the entire
Round.
circumference
Oh, did
in
you?
one,
Yeah.
which that was very heavy, obviously, but we managed to get it done. We unrolled the marzipan, and then the 2 girls were coming behind us with the smoothers. So I think we had about 16 smoothers on it at one point,
Yeah.
just trying to get it to
So,
stick before
yeah.
it started moving.
And I'm really interested in how on earth did you royal ice it?
Yeah.
What did
so
you
this
use?
is
So-
this is my trusty smoother.
Right?
So this was the smoother that we used to apply the royal icing to the sides,
Yep.
and then drag it round.
Yeah.
Now, when I do royal icing, I like to do my top one day and
Yeah,
my
that's
sides
exactly.
the
It
next.
takes forever, doesn't it? Because you let it
does.
dry, then you let the sides dry,
Yeah.
then. And how many layers do you do?
Yeah, well, we did 8
Yeah.
on the side, and I think we had 10 on the top. Is that
Yeah.
right? No, it's less on the top. So it's
no,
6 on the
it's-
top, 8 on the sides on the big one.
Yes.
So you do
That's right.
really, really thin
Yeah.
layers, and it takes ages, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it does.
Yeah,
I mean,
it does,
it was
yeah.
a good 2 weeks of royal
Yeah.
icing with this, and this is a great thing. There's no flexibility in it, but you have to you have to have a true eye with this.
Yes.
And to help, we were using the spirit levels and the the measuring devices just to make sure the top and the sides were true, because obviously if there's too much royal icing in any one spot,
Yeah.
then all of those little decorations you're piping are out of line.
Yes, so if it's not completely
Exactly.
vertical and it's out a tiny bit, you can't fit them on, can you?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
How did you feel when it was set up and you were standing there looking back at it?
It was a
And
proud moment.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
Very proud.
Yeah.
Because you
Did you
never.
feel really emotional?
Yeah, even now.
Oh, I love you.
It's-
And I can't believe you've never done any royal icing before.
No, never. It's the achievement, because we both haven't seen it put together until that moment.
Because it's all in bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
until
look,
that
that's so
moment,
nice.
we didn't know
Yeah.
what it would look like, if it would stand, anything. So when you've seen it like that,
What did you all say to each other?
well, we all hugged each other, didn't we?
Did you?
At that
Yeah.
moment.
And lastly, you took the top tier to Buckingham Palace, didn't you?
Yes, absolutely, to Buckingham Palace.
In a taxi?
Yes.
Yes.
In a black
Yes.
cab?
yeah.
Yeah.
In a black cab.
Holding
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Holding
Dear
it.
life,
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, so we'd all along we'd planned to take a tier of the
Yeah.
cake to the palace. So what we'd done is we'd made a duplicate duplicate structure. We'd made extra decorations for that tier. So on the afternoon of transporting the cake and the anniversaries, the pair of us went to Buckingham Palace with our nice clear perspex box
Yeah.
with our fresh flowers on top. And we were lucky enough that they would accept it as a gift for the Queen, and it went outside the dining room. Which
Oh,
was,
that's lovely.
we had quite a lot of feedback actually on the day with members of the royal staff coming down to look at the cake, saying how wonderful it was. But
yeah.
we were lucky enough to receive a letter from Buckingham Palace a few weeks later saying that Her Majesty had been very touched by our efforts and that it brought back fond memories of her happy day. So we were very, very happy to receive that.
Looking back, is there anything you would have done different?
I think overall I'm very happy with the result. I think we did a good job of
Yeah, we
the
did.
replica.
Yeah.
I think perhaps I would have been a little bit less intricate with some of the designs on the runouts for the piping. As I said, we tried to take an exact replica of what was made, but it was very, very time consuming.
Yeah. It sounds like you've learnt a lot. Well,
I've
especially you,
learned a lot. Yes. A great deal.
I think moreover than anything else, it's the planning and how to plan for a project that's this big.
Yeah.
Because the planning, I mean, we spent a long time planning. I spoke to a lot of people that I've worked with before, but most people have never ever done something this big.
No.
In retrospect, we had a phone call from the granddaughter of the man who made the original cake.
Did you?
Yes, who'd watched the programme, and she said how thrilled she was to see her grandfather's work replicated, and she was very complimentary about it. She had all of his archives, but we didn't know that obviously at the time.
Which would have been handy.
Yeah,
it would have been really handy, wouldn't
she
it?
might have had a cherub in there somewhere.
Yeah.
She probably had some close-up pictures as
No.
well.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's next? Are we going to watch this space? I'm sure
my
there'll
God.
I think
be.
we'll have to
don't
watch
know.
this space. Yeah.
I'm sure, I'm positive, watch this space. There's probably going to be some other magnificent cake in the future coming in.
We like the challenge, don't we?
We do.
You're not leaving, are you?
No.
Matthew, Julie,
Thank you very much.
it's
Thank
been
you
an
so much.
absolute pleasure. I've loved every minute of chatting to you.
Good.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.